we talked about this a little bit earlier. The very first, well, not the very first note I have in this match, but the second thing I have on this match is sloppy as hell every time Jericho has to catch Commander.
Yeah, yeah. It seemed like it did seem like I still enjoyed it, but it definitely did seem like Commander was waiting for Jericho to get ready a few too many times in the match.
So
But
now
that corkscrew tope looked cool as hell.
I got to see other things I don't normally see, like a hip toss directly over the ropes to the outside.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
anyone taking big spots to the ground do not feel good.
They never. They always scare the heck out of me, man. I want to see. I want to see some more Commander. I love it every time I see Commander.
Honestly, you're at the risk of pigeonholing,
True.
but I feel like AEW would be great to have something for like the smaller people, like New Japan having the light heavyweight, or going back to the old cruiserweights, because cruiserweights back in WCW, that was my jam.
But the cruiserweight matches back then were like the matches of today that we get now. But like back in the day when every match was slow as heck.
But
With
just because
a brick of a man moving, like two bricks going at each other back in the day, like, and then you had the cruiserweights flipping around out of nowhere, like that change of pace. Oh.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think how you could feature some of those guys a little bit more in more, I guess, competitive roles.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna have to have. We're gonna have to have Rey Mysterio versus the Big Show. Let's see who's you got Commander versus Big Bill. I'm like, who's the biggest guy we got?
Paul White's around there somewhere still too.
Come on, leave him alone. He's done. Okay, he's just there. All right, leave him alone.
So I love it though, because we got to see a couple of those type of old WCW aspects in this match, even though Jericho couldn't keep up quite the same way. We did get to see an old school double power bomb by Jericho, which I remember him using like right off the bat in WWF. But Dragon Rana that he caught and dropped him into Lion Tamer, not the walls, so it had an actual chance.
Yeah, it looked like it was about to be the walls, and then yeah, I was like, the walls are Jericho. Like this, I was like, it's way too late for a stall spot in this match.
It was a weird mix because a lot of times the old school Lion Tamer, he was
he used to
a bit
put
more
like
standing.
his knee in the back, yeah. And then he would like put his knee into him, but I'm sure that hurts like a bitch, even if it's not real.
In this one tonight, he was sitting down a lot more to almost to the walls territory, but he still had that angle on like the neck and everything very high up on the chest.
Yeah. Either way, probably hurts like a bitch, even if it's not real.
Oh yeah, does not look comfortable whatsoever.
Yeah, like Commander did not get his neck under properly early, so he had to like move his head around, and I was like,
yeah, that looked painful.
Yeah, like he didn't get his head around, and I'm like, oh buddy, that doesn't look good.
But then I
would have tapped out.
The first of 3 Don Callis appearances on the night, as Jericho is celebrating. He interrupts them. The overall point of this whole thing was they've been friends, and he's not going to push Jericho make a decision right now. But he said some things about Don during this I found pretty funny. Like, just in regards to seeing Don Callis from like the early 90s in the video where him and Jericho were a part of a team under Bad News Allen.
Yeah. Yeah, Don Callis definitely looks creepier with hair. I didn't think that I would say that, but that video, he didn't look, it wasn't like scary, it was just like the kind of guy that you hide your kids from. Like, that's what he looked like to me.
Feels like if you try to make a Karate Kid movie within the world of wrestling, he is Terry Silver.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you hide the kids from Terry Silver. That's for sure. Yeah, he looked real creepy with hair. Good on him for going bald, I guess.
Yeah.
Of course, Jericho had to mention that he still has his hair
Again,
after the
kind of.
video.
It was weird because knowing that Don gets all this heat, that's one of those moments in which it was kind of like a face move for Jericho.
Mm-hmm. And well, the JAS is falling apart. Makes sense that Jericho might do another face turn.
We'll see, but they'll have as much time as he wants. But they both kind of acknowledge that their mentor, Bad News Allen, would want them to be together, and they told them to always stick it out together.
Mm. Yeah, and they were both like, yeah, that's true. He did say that. And Don just drops the mic and dips.
Probably after next match or something, we get our second appearance by Don Callis because he's walking away backstage, and he's called up to by Renee, who talks to him about announcements and stuff like that. Which,
Yeah,
not much to
basically, that was just him saying that he's going to announce who the fifth member of the BCC team is going to be.
But he says he's going to do it alone. He's not afraid because Kenny's a gutless coward.
Yeah.
Which is,
in which we know he's not going to be alone.
it's a
Takeshi
giant
is going to
trap.
be hiding in the audience somewhere or something.
Yeah, it was just
Which,
all a giant trap for the main event segment of the night.
Yep, sure was.
Don comes out, he sucks this little bit of trash. Eventually, Kenny interrupts, and while he's on his way down to the ring, basically BCC attacks.
Yeah, Takeshi and Mox attacked him as he's coming down, and then like in the back, I was like, "That's Pac." Like you can barely see him, but I was like, "Yeah, that's definitely Pac," because I could see his ears sticking out out of his long ass hair, and I was like, "Yep, that's definitely Pac." Like he's a short little buff dude.
And now that we found out and everything else, and you mentioned like that scene, I do remember like when that happened. Just remember seeing somebody who looked like they were just like crunched over trying to hide, like coming up the ramp. I'm like, is that cameraman maybe like leaning over to get a low shot or something? But no, thinking back now, I'm like, oh, that's what that was.
Yep. There we go. In his back. And then he says, "Yeah, it's me. I'm the fifth member."
He's basically pissed off because Kenny broke his orbital bone, or was it his nose? But either way, he had that mask on and everything.
Nose.
And they took the trios title, so he wants revenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wants his revenge. That's what's up. I'm real hyped that the BCC has Pac on their side. Like, who knows if he's actually gonna join their group or anything like that? But hey.
So here's the weird thing, though, is he wants revenge on him in this blood and guts match, the fifth man, but they clearly try to eliminate Kenny well before, and they do the whole wrapping a steel chair around the neck, and Pax goes up to the top rope to get ready to jump, and they ask if he has any more last words, and they're like, Kenny's goes, "We have a fifth member too, watch the screen." What's any of that do for you who's about to get your throat crushed?
It's a distraction. He casts distraction. Haha. Yeah, but so one thing about this, it was very cool that we got KOTA like we expected, but it kind of took away from it for me that it was a video instead of him in person. So I was like, yeah, KOTA. Oh, it's a video, so he's not gonna show up until Blood and Guts.
Yeah.
All right.
It had a music that you could kind of, I don't want to say gives away because I don't know what his music was, but it definitely made me think of like a Kenny Japan type of vibe. And
Mhm.
and then it goes, he's coming, and they eventually show pictures of him and everything else. It's like, yay. I'm just waiting for the moment that him and Takeshita have a face down in the middle of the ring, because there was a line that was used at some point, like I think it was on social media, where they said basically they had to go get a knockoff version of KOTA in Takeshita.
That's cold as ice. Because Takeshita is not a knockoff of anybody. Takeshita is Takeshita.
Yeah, he's just a few years behind him, that's all.
I'm gonna say he's established more. That's it. But it's gonna be dope. Like last year's Blood and Guts that we were in attendance for, dope, dope. But this year, I don't see how it's not better.
Hey, you want to know one big advantage for us going into this year, watching it next week on TV?
What?
We're actually going to be able to tell some of the stuff that's going on inside the ring just because we'll be watching on TV.
Yeah. Um, we've learned that cage matches live aren't as good to see everything.
I think if they were just like this most recent one being Kenny and Mox, if they were just wrestling, when they're just wrestling, it was fine. But once
Yeah.
you add in things from like Blood and Guts, like um, somebody drops open a bag, is it thumbtacks? Is it shards of glass? Or the use of smaller weapons, like when Mox is using a fork on somebody's forehead? You don't really get to see that stuff so well unless you're looking up at the screen.
Yeah. And then and then where we've been sitting in basically the same spot every time we go to an event.
I'm so curious about
Like,
SummerSlam. I
I
have no
have no
idea.
idea how it works out that way somehow, where we're like in the exact same spot, like every time, no every arena, same spot. And so we're like close enough to where you can see the action really well, but those, like you said, those small things are harder to see. But we're so close still that it's hard to look up at the screen because you're like, I can't.
All right.